Okay, so now next half an hour we will discuss about interrelationship or intermingle or conflict, whatever you may be the right word, with reference to the trademark and GI. Okay. And also I will discuss about a little bit with reference to trademark management, although you will not get it in any books. Okay. This will be impromptu. Okay. So, let us say trademark versus geographical indications. Okay. So, trademarks means trademarks mark, geographical indication indication. Okay. So, mark with reference to what? Goods or services, indication with reference to only goods. Again, I will refer here that India geographical indication is restricted to goods, in other countries also, but few countries they also extended geographical indication with reference to the services. Sometime it is referred in literature that Japan, a particular geyser services, means a particular community of Japanese women, they have a skill to treat the guests and they have created a geyser services, and they may go for, they have gone for GI with that particular services. Okay. So, marks for goods or services, indication for goods. What difference? Indication of goods with reference to some characteristics or quality and by means of place. So, I again repeating product, place, link, PP link based on some characteristics, correct, based on some attribute. Let us characteristic instead of characteristic attribute, based on some attributes of those goods. Okay. So, so goods and services here, attributes is not important, is not important. Initially. Okay. Later on, by virtue of used, maybe people are aware of the attributes of those goods also, but this is not a prime importance. The attribute is not of prime importance with respect to trademark. Okay. But this here the prime importance and attributes, characteristics, quality or other attributes of the goods, characteristics, quality, reputation, other attributes of the goods. So, characteristics, quality, reputation of those goods, okay, important parameters. Okay. So, now, so both cases is reference to the goods. In these cases, the goods having some characteristics, quality, reputation or other attributes with reference to the particular place. Now, and GI Act, if you consider, we can use a place name as a indications. For trademark, section 9 suggested the place name, say, by inherently distinctive characteristics cannot be considered as a trademark, but by virtue of secondary meaning, by virtue of acquired distinctiveness, it can qualify as a trademark. Okay. So, that way the acquired distinctiveness is the criteria for a place name to be a trademark, and here place name or geographical name or non-geographical name both can be an indication with reference to the product. Okay. So, another, so this is the characteristic difference we are getting. Then further difference, one is private right. What do you mean by private rights? Means let us say Reliance, the GI. So, Reliance is the owner of that particular trademark, Reliance. Private rights, okay. Private company have rights with reference to the use of that Reliance logo, Reliance trademark, or so let us say Google, Microsoft, let us say Britannia. Okay. So, private rights, and this is not private right, for this is for TM trademark and this is for GI. This is, let us say, community right. Sometime we call community right. What do you mean by that? Not an individual rights, but beyond individual, the GI right, or we can calling them as a community rights. So, this is the characteristics difference with reference to that GI and trademark. Okay. So, now subsequent the things, the difference we are, this will be just like a recapitulation with reference to trademark and GI. So, registration procedure. Okay. Registration procedure, there is a difference, okay, because here you have to provide a uniqueness of your product, then a map, then inspection bodies, all sorts of things you have to provide, but geographical indication for registration of trademark you do not require to provide all those things. Okay. So, registration procedure, there is a difference. Then that, let us say, transaction. What is the difference with reference to transaction of GI and with reference to transaction of trademark? Let us trademark TM and GI. Okay. If I ask now whether trademark can be licensed, you will say yes in respect of India and other countries also, based on India, based on permitted users concept. Okay. And whether it can be assigned, yes, it can be assigned also. Okay. So, license, assigned, okay, licensed, assigned, this is yes for license, okay, assigned, okay. So, just like say it is also yes. So, license yes, assignment yes. So, GI right, trademark right can be transferred using licensing as a tool or using assignment as a tool, complete transfer or permitted use. Now, come to geographical indications. Also, you are telling here part A and part B registrations. Now, with reference to the ownership, let us say what happens, it is whether licensed? No, it cannot be licensed. Okay. It cannot be also assigned. Why? This is linked with reference to the particular product and place. Okay. So, and also major characteristics and characteristics or reputation is associated with that place. Okay. So, that by virtue of that GI right is not transferable. Okay. GI right is not transferable. Okay. And except with reference to the death of authorized user is right transmitted to his legal heir or sons. So, that is the part difference again with reference to transaction or transfer of a right with reference to GI and trademark. So, trademark rights can be transferable using licensing and assignment. GI right is not transferable except on the death of authorized user. The rights with reference to that is transmitted to his legal heirs or son, daughter, whatever you may consider using the law of inheritance, whatever you may, law of inheritance may be applicable in that kinds of situation. Okay. So, the transfer, then registration procedure, this is part A, part B registration, okay, and the registration formalities also difference, the in characteristics also difference. Okay. So, now that say what is the intermingle, you got it, and what is the conflict will come up. Conflict even also reflected in the TRIPS agreement, and also that lead to the north south divisions, and also that lead to that in some guidelines by INTA international trademark associations. So, what the debate? Let us consider a situation or Indian Scotch whisky. A particular community, a particular company, they are trying to use let us say a trademark called Indian Scotch whisky. Okay. Now, you know the Scotch whisky, Scotch whisky is a GI, and this is they are using as a trademark. Okay. So, now based on the right over GI, whether they can prevent somebody to use same indication as or same indication or similar indication as trademark. Okay. So, definitely that their issues are coming up. The prior trademark, let us say trademark they are using prior, and later they are the GI thing has come up, or vice versa, let us say prior GI, then subsequently people are trying to use that as a TM. Got the thing? So, these two lead to the debate or conflict with reference to the trademark and GI. What is that? Again referring, let us say Scotch whisky, if it is not using as a GI prior to Indian Scotch whisky as a trademark, whether later on they want to register and use Scotch whisky as a GI, okay, then whether they will prevent Indian Scotch whisky to be used as a trademark. Okay. So, that says whether prior trademark, later GI, this is the situation. Okay. Now, situation reverse, let us say Scotch whisky is an important GI. Okay. They are not considering that as a trademark specifically, although the indication is also they are putting over their goods, okay, but they are using that on the in the sense of GI, and later on the Indian Scotch whisky try to register that Indian Scotch whisky as a trademark. So, that is later trademark, prior GI, later trademark, later. Okay. So, based on GI right, whether he can enforce his right with reference to somebody's trademark, that lead to a conflict between the trademark and GI. In this case, Scotch whisky case, if you find out, they will able to enforce their right in respect of Indian Scotch whisky as a trademark. Why? Because Scotch whisky was prior GI, okay, and they have also tried to ultimately they enforce their right, considering that Scotch whisky has some reputation in India. Okay. If they don't able to establish reputation in India, then it will be again difficult to enforce the rights over the Indian Scotch whisky in India. Okay. So, that based on Scotch whisky as a global brand and important GI, having reputation, even reputation in this territory, although GI for other territory, reputation in this territory, they are able to enforce their rights, considering that the intention is to climb over the reputation of Scotch whisky. That particular private organization has intention is to climb over the goodwill of Scotch whisky. So, they are able to enforce their rights and prevented the use of the word Indian Scotch whisky. Okay. So, understood, let us say some trademark people are using and later on some GI with reference to the same thing has come up. Whether GI right holder can prevent the trademark owner to use that trademark, or both will be used If both will be used, then again the problem lies asymmetry of informations. Okay. So, that way that legislators or statute has taken care of that partly, just then that partly, but you know that there is a debate with reference to the GI and its extension beyond agriculture and food product, and conflict between the trademark and GI, just like a TRIPS article 22, 23, 24. Okay. If you read, you will get an idea regarding these sorts of things. Okay. So, now what I want to mention, that Act has taken care of the conflict between the trademark and GI, because it has some sorts of similarities, intermingle with reference to nature, scope of protection. So, Act has suggested that okay, trademark suggest like a trademark GI cannot be a trademark, but if GI right holders, GI owner with reference to product, specific product, they want to use that in the form of a trademark, there is no problem, because this is the one owner with reference to trademark and GI. There will be no per se asymmetry, there will be no per se quality deteriorations. So, there is no problem with reference to that, but if somebody else want to register that as a trademark, it should not be allowed. Okay, but they have not taken care of the prior concept. Just like I told you, trademark is also used based right. How the prior user of a trademark the will be prevented with reference to the GI later use. So, that is the conflict with reference to the trademark and geographical indication. So, you have learnt about the difference between the trademark and GI. Okay. Now, I will devote next 10 minutes with reference to the trademark management. Okay. Trademark management, trademark management. Okay. So, I told you that with reference to the strength of the trademark, we have generally given invented word, higher strength in a day 1, invented word, then coined word, then arbitrary word, like then generic word, okay, generic word in reference to the word based trademark. So, how to manage, just like sometime they refer, let us say strength and this time a time frame. So, the the product cycle also like this, somehow we refer that okay, this is like this way, the product life cycle, product life cycle, time frame, product life cycle, life cycle. Okay. So, somehow the product valuation increases, then again then like this way. And like this way, there is a product life cycle, that from one product to another further improved product will come up like this way, that generally acceptable trends for product life cycle. So, considering that, people suggested that invented words also down the line try to become a generic word. Example, let us say Google, maybe Nokia, maybe Xerox. Okay. So, why these are generic? Instead of source identification function, they are somehow try to used just like say I will say that use as a verb. Okay. Just like people are telling that I am googling, bring my Nokia, bring my Nokia. So, instead of product name or services name become say become the trademark, now become the services attributes. Google is a trademark, but people are using Google the word for search. Nokia, that Nokia is a mobile company's trademark, but now Nokia became the product name. Okay. That lead to the genericide or generic side of a trademark. Similarly, Xerox, you know that people, nobody is telling that photocopying. I want to do Xerox, I want to do Xerox. So, now Xerox per se is a trademark, but in the dictionary also now reflected Xerox as a photocopy. So, the photocopying part, the photocopying things is now the product things become the trademark. Trademark now become the product name. Product name. Trademark now become the product name. Products. So, some cases I am using as a verb, some cases I am using as a, let us say, Xerox. Instead of Xerox trademark, I am telling that okay, I am do Xeroxing, bring my Nokia, that lead to the genericide. So, the management or say economic suggested, considering that life cycle part, that by virtue of use a invented word may be also a generic word by virtue of, let us say, delta t time. Okay. So, delta t with reference to Xerox, if you understood how many years, that delta t we do not know, we have to do a market survey related to that. Xerox initially it was used as a trademark, now Xerox now become a particular product instead of that trademark. Nokia similarly, Google a particular activities. Okay. So, now how to say extend the delta t time. So, delta t time, how can you increased? So, how can you prevented your trademark to be genericide? This is the job of managers, whether you will go for some advertising strategies, some product strategies, just like say Google every day how they are changing their logo based on the particular day themes. See that? Okay. So, this is the strategy they have adopted. So, that they their logos time to time they are linking with reference to the specific days, somebody's birthday, Women's Day, like this way they are linking their logos. Okay. And that strategy they have adopted. Okay. So, the delta t times, how can you enlarged? That is the job with reference to the trademark management, one part. Second part, sometime you have created an invented word, let us say KFC, let us KFC, no problem, KFC. Now, that invented word definitely I am considering that have enough strength. So, now how can that invented word have a strength which be diluted? Will be diluted, let us say instead of KFC somebody used the word LFC, MFC. Okay. So, or so LFC, MFC or NFC. So, like this way some similarity with reference to LFC, MFC, NFC and KFC you are getting. So, what will be that? There will be a likelihood of association, because of similarity with reference to the mark KFC along with LFC, MFC, NFC, because with reference to what are the similarity? Visual, aural, conceptual similarity lead to the likelihood of association between or among those marks. So, then that lead people will thought about that okay, KFC and LFC, MFC have some association then or likelihood of some association and they will be confused. So, that confusion lead to the dilution. Yesterday also I told you dilutions of the brand value of the trademark. okay, because the trademark valuations is also, I told you that may be based on income based method. So, what how much market share if that particular brand has, considering that I am considering the valuation of that particular trademark. So, that again likelihood of association lead to the dilutions. Okay. So, now what strategy you will adopt? Not allow your trademark to be diluted. So, what you will do that? Okay, you may go for preventive use or preventive registration, preventive registration or use So, you will what you will do? You will try to register or use trademark including KFC, all permutation combinations like LFC, MFC, NFC along with your KFC mark. So, all those mark you are trying to using permutation combination of all the word and try to register. By that you are trying to create a firewall type of protections. Okay. That firewall type of protection, because and you are registering those as a defensive trademark, defensive trademark. Although you may consider this lead to the unfair competition, but somehow you have to protect your brand. Okay. Just like say we in India, although we do not have a specific law to protect prevent dilutions, US they have anti dilutions laws. Dilution happens by blurring and tarnishment. So, how can you prevent your mark to be diluted? So, you may go for a defensive registration or defensive use of the trademark using the your trademark words, permutations and combinations. Okay. Then by virtue of that you are creating a firewall types of situation and protecting your trademark. So, that why I want to mention the things here, just like say defensive registrations as a strategy to protect or maintain your goodwill or brand valuations. So, two part, how can you prevent genericide, how can you prevent dilutions of your trademark. There lies the role of trademark managers or trademark management. Okay. So, trademark management. Then another part you have, there is a part sometime we call house mark, product mark. Just like a pharmaceutical sectors, they use Ranbaxy is a house mark, then product mark. Now, the issue is that house mark, product mark, they will used simultaneously in a goods or not, that house mark, product mark ideology, and say some product mark may be an important brand with reference to the particular trademark or house mark. Okay. So, that how can you create a house mark and product mark simultaneously, or to create unique identifications of your product in the markets. So, this is also a part. Similarly, trademark related to markets or trade and trade related to market. So, advertisement and promotions of your trademark, that is also an important parameters with reference to the trademark management. I will later on discussed about the valuations models of the trademark valuations or brand valuations part, although that will also one of the parameters in respect of trademark management, but I will learn later on that part. Okay. So, in these modules we have discussed about trademark and internets, we have discussed about geographical indications, we have discussed about economics of the GI, and also the relationship or conflict between the trademarks and GI. Along with that GI management by means of supply chain integrity, and now we discussed about trademark management, how to prevent genericide, how to prevent dilutions, product mark, house mark, okay, all those sorts of things. Okay. So, let us close here.